hey, we hire drug dealers, right? Like, it wasn't exactly we hire drug dealers. Like, we're not opposed to it, right? But DM me. So, right?
Wow.
And so, I mean, were there any other hustles that you had along the way to?
Yeah, I sold. So I flipped anything that I can get my hands on. You know, one of the most humbling situations was selling clothes at the Swami. You know, and this is in my 20s, by the way. My 9-to-5 job just wasn't really paying the bills. You know, after like taxes are taken out, insurance, 401k, IRA. I mean, I'm left with, like, after I pay the bills, $200 to $300. It was hard. It was really hard, man. To at that point, my wife, I have my child, and I'm like, man, this is not living. Like, this is not living. So what I did was, my buddy, he would come across deals where he would get clothes really cheap from, I didn't ask from where or from who, right? Like, he would
Fell out of a truck.
Maybe, I don't know. You know, I really don't know, but you know, what I would do, like my part, you know, I was a salesperson and I can talk to people. So I said, hey man, why don't we go set up shop every single Saturday at the Swami? And sure thing, we would pay $180 to $200 to get our little booth. We would bring our little table. We would put all the, you know, brand new jeans and shirts and all that. And we would make a few $100s every weekend hustling. So that was one. I almost became a millionaire twice, by the way. Not from that, right? And not from selling cars and not from selling diabetic test strips. You know, no. One of my friends had a up-and-coming artist in the Mexican regional music industry. His name is Luis Coronel. He was like the Justin Bieber of. He was like, had a hit of, you know, 4 or 5 million plays, whatever. Like, this guy was the next hot thing. And they didn't have a merchandise. Department. And I was like, hey man, you know, because I was always in hats, right? I'm like, hey, what if I create a merchandise department for the artist? He's like, let's do it, right? Sure thing. You know, I set a cartel.com site with like all the different, you know, I came up with like the different models of shirts, you know, and hats, and we started making $15,000 to $30,000 a month in gross revenue. But I mean, to make clothes, it's not a lot. So we were probably in the 90%, like, you know, net profitability. And after 3 months, I'm like, all right, man, so, you know, can we put some things together in writing? And then he's like, you know, not him, but the other side of management, they were like, hey, we'll take it from here.
Yeah.
Boom, screwed.
Yeah.
Screwed. Like, we're making $15,000 to $30,000 and it's just beginning to take off. We're not even at the concerts yet.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Like, if I'm at the concerts and we're selling clothes there?
Yeah, people that already paid to come in.
We're going to make a lot of money, right? Yeah. So they're like, we'll take it from here. That was the first time I could have become a multimillionaire. The second time was with another artist. This guy had I did the same thing. I didn't learn my lesson. I trusted the same person twice, right? This guy, I think his name was Alfredo Olivas. I don't know what his name is, but he's huge. This guy has millions and millions of followers. Sure thing, man. I started making some of his merchandise. And I thought we were going to put something sooner because that's what I was promised. They're like, well, prove yourself and we'll put something in writing. So I proved myself, and then sure thing, same scenario.
Yeah.
Twice. What is it? Screw me once, shame on me. Screw me twice, shame on you. No. Screw me once, shame on you. Screw me twice, shame on me. Yeah. Shame on me.
Right. So then did that affect things then when you initially partnered up with Sal?
Yeah. So with me and Sal, it was a different dynamic because we didn't put an operating agreement together for any of our companies until 2018, so 4 years later. It was like handshake.
Right before we met.
Yeah, really. Yeah. And at this point in 2018 is when we started launching all these different, you know, ventures, because by then we were, you know, we had made a good amount of money through real estate. And we're like, okay, so what do we do with this money, right? Like, you know, we didn't really have, like, we were great wholesalers at that time. We weren't really good, like, real estate investors or real estate entrepreneurs were like, well, we should probably take $200,000 to $400,000 and park it in this multifamily deal here of 80 units. We weren't thinking like, oh, there's a mobile home park there that can give us a return of X amount. We weren't thinking that. We were just like, we were hustlers, you know? We weren't really businessmen at that point.
Yeah.
We didn't really start becoming businessmen until 2018.
So, yeah, and this is the reason why I wanted to talk to you, right? Is like when you started with flipping cars off of Craigslist, right? Yeah. Like, this is a single business, and, you know, for a lot of people that are listening, they can't get past the idea of just wholesaling houses, right? Even like wholesaling and flipping are two different businesses, and that could be a little challenging when you're a solopreneur or a smaller operator. So from flipping cars, what was your next venture?
Real estate.
So real estate.
Yep.
Right. And at that time, you didn't feel like you were really a business person. Like you were just hustling.
A hustler. I was still a hustler.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I unlike a lot of the gurus out there, right? No disrespect to any of them, but I didn't start educating until like 4 or 5 years in. Like once, I never even thought about educating. I never even thought about becoming a public figure or an influencer like that. Nobody, well, at least me, maybe the kids nowadays, they get into the game for that reason, right? Because they just want the clout and the fame and whatever, right? Yeah. They have their own little personal internal insecurities that they have to, you know, alleviate at some point. But for me, it was like, man, I'm just trying to make money for my family.
Right.
Like, I didn't get into this game. Like, I got into this game to, like, gain some freedom, some financial freedom, to retire my mother, retire my wife, to provide for my children. Like, that's what I got into this game for, not to chase whatever everybody's chasing these days.
So then at which point were you still running real estate when you finally became transitioned from hustler to business owner, or was it until you started another venture?
So at this point, we did start another venture, which was the diabetic test strips. And it's not just diabetic test strips, it's diabetic supplies. It started with test strips, and then it became much bigger.
Well, because I just kind of think of like, you know, the We Buy Houses, right? Because
you
drive
see
by
all
these
those
apartments.
Signs I get it. No, like all kinds of different like reservoirs, meters, all kinds of different things for diabetics, right? And what's crazy is our biggest year in that business was in 2017. We made over $6.3 million gross revenue with a 27% profit margin, which wasn't bad, right? Yeah. But still, you know, that's when we started to really, you know, okay, we got this business, we got the medical, you know, medical business. All right, let's launch this, you know, data business, this software business, and, you know, investor automation and blah, blah, blah. All these other business ventures came, which, by the way, if anybody out there is listening, we are going to exit some of these ventures internally and externally. What I mean by externally is we are going to sell some of these business ventures that are making anywhere from $300,000 to a few $1 million. We're going to exit some of these businesses because right now what we're focusing on are 4 things, right? Our core 4 is literally real estate, flipping, wholesaling, holding, you know, multifamily, all that, right? Software, right? Which is all the companies that we have, you know, prospectx.com, listiva.com, all these other softwares that we have. And then it's education, which is all in, you know, All In Nation. You know, education, and we're changing the dynamic of that whole situation. We're probably not even going to be mentoring anymore soon. So that's been a great journey. And then our 4th now is e-commerce. It took us 2 years to launch this business. Yeah. You know, it took us like physically and strategically 2 years to get into the e-com business. Yeah. And you know why.
Oh, I know exactly.
You saw it. You saw what happened.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that made a lot of promises.
There's a lot of, brother, I have mentees that are out 80,000, 40,000, 50. You know, I got mentees that I can name drop which I want right now, that gave money to these hustlers that went from wholesaling to what's the next big hustle? Oh, e-commerce. Yeah. Oh, forex. Oh, what flipping planes? Whatever the hell hustle. That's they never became businessmen. They never became businessmen. Yeah. And that's the one advice that I would give anybody out there that wants to eventually go from hustler to businessman to a businessman. You're gonna have to evolve, and you're gonna have to grow, and you're gonna have to change your approach to the way that you launch these new business ventures, and most importantly, the value that you're bringing to the marketplace, and the commitment and the core values that you're bringing to the marketplace, because a lot of people got burned.